People just, but because of the reaction of the government and because of the killing, now people when they are killed or where their sons or fathers or brother killed, they turn to violent action. And now from now on, the military forces will get into the homes, will arrest people who even participate in this peaceful demonstration and start killing them and torturing them. And this is also I've witnessed in my city. I was there. We have in 2011, June 3rd, it was every people they have gathering like you every Sunday you gather. They gather every Friday after the Friday prayer. So they will go immediately out to the mosque and they will, all of them gather in the downtown or in the center of the city. And this is the center in Hama where we have this clock and all people, they come together. Like Christian, from different, it's not about religion actually. It's people, they demonstrate about, what they find they need freedom, justice, they want to replace this regime with different, and then in this, it was like a bloody Friday, the military forces, they come out and start shooting randomly. And we have just the blood in the streets, the hospitals filled in blood, even you cannot, the doctors and the nurses, they were calling in the mosque for blood donations. It was a crazy Friday. And from now on, the people in my city, they will not make any, now, peaceful demonstration. It was blood. Now they want to avenge and they want just to be part of any opposition party, which, to avenge what's happening on. And I was also there in 2011 when we have the tanks enter Hama, and it was the first day of Ramadan. We were just fasting and we want to break our fast by the sunset, and we start hearing, the tanks coming and the shooting, and it was really, and people really get so scared, and some families just, they want to run away. They don't know what's going on, and they feel that it will be the same as in Hama massacre in 1982, because it started like this. The tanks come, enter, and they surrounded the country and start bombing everything. So many families start just to flee, leaving everything behind, just they want to be out. It was really crazy. So now if I go, because now the events, stop there for me, if I come to my personal story, I came from a conservative family and conservative society where women are overprotected and raised to be dependent. And, but I was lucky to have a family who encouraged me for education. So I studied in the university in Homs. I had my bachelor in English literature, and then I started teaching, and then in 2003 I had scholarship for graduate study in the UK. And it was for me first time to leave Syria. And it was for me really it's not easy to be to a foreign country by myself, and different culture, different language. And also it was there was a social and family pressure on whether it's permissible for a woman by herself, coming from this society to go abroad alone. Everybody was very worried about me, and especially, people, they are afraid from the West because they are ignorant. They don't have, they feel I will be in trouble, I will be in danger, They have many ideas about this, but, and people even start questioning, is it allowed for me from my own religion to go abroad, and all this stuff. And I was lucky to meet some good scholars who encouraged me, because in our religion, in Islam, and I believe in all religion, we have to seek knowledge. And it was the first verse revealed in the Quran, or even the first word in the Quran revealed, it was Iqra, read. And read, it's not with the meaning only read, seek knowledge. And it's an order, and it's repeated 3 times when it was revealed. And even we have in the hadith for our prophet, that you have to seek knowledge even if it's in China. And he said that hadith when he was in Mecca or in Saudi Arabia. So it means you have to seek knowledge. So I took the decision, but it was not easy for me to take that decision. And it was a nice experience for me there, and I get to know how people live, different culture, it was so interesting for me. And then in 2005, I returned to Syria, start teaching at the university, and also I start working with Islamic Institute, Al-Andalus Institute. I feel after I traveled, like I have the mission that I have to educate women, that they have to be educated, they have to travel, they have to be strong, they have to know about their rights. So, and I became more active because now I have the language, so I can travel more. And it was somehow like I take the first step, so the other travel will be easier for me. And in 2006, it was the first interface experience at the Islamic Center of Damascus with the Danish delegation. And then in 2007, I was lucky to be to have like this exchange program, and I traveled here to the US. It was the first time for me, 2007, to come to the US with a delegation. And at that time, I think I presented an article about the monopoly of salvation, arguing that we are people, we don't have the right to judge others as to where we are going in the afterlife. It's God, you know, who judge. And this was very controversial among Muslims and even other, you know, people from different, you know, because we have like with us Christians and rabbis. And at that time I didn't meet Reverend Kent, but I was also honored to be part of the people who hosted the delegation. And this was in 2008. We have the multi-faith American delegation of the clerics who came to Syria, and there were several Christians, including Pastor Kent Johnson of the Prince of the Peace Lutheran Church in La Crosse area, and there was also a rabbi. And even it was for me a risky, you know, to be part of the hosting, because you became now an activist member and you have connection with people. And here in this picture we have Kent, Reverend James in the Friday prayer, I think. Yeah. It was in Friday prayer in the biggest, I think, mosque in Damascus. He was reading from the Bible. Yeah. And I start also traveling, and you know, I have, you know, the opportunity to be to Iran, to Indonesia, to Australia, to Italy, to Cyprus, and I start really traveling a lot and being more indulged in the interfaith. And at this point, it becomes dangerous for me. Like I start to be seen as an activist, and you know, especially because I have connection with international scholars and institutions, and you know, and. It was really, I feel I was like, you know, I would be questioned by the intelligence services about where to going, and even I think in 2009 or 10 I have the opportunity also to come again to the US, and I get the visa and the ticket, but I was not allowed by the Syrian government to travel. Yeah. And this one, yeah. And then, can we put the other one?
This one?
Yeah, no, the following one.
This
yeah.
one?
Yeah. Now, you know, I just give you a background how it was now for me during this crisis, like during this period from the 2011 until I left the country, I started doing some humanitarian aids to the families who are in need, and also this was, you know, seen as not acceptable by the government regime. And then I was lucky because I have some connections because of my travel in 2012 to get a visa to travel to Qatar. And my family, they were so happy, like they want to send me out of the country. They were so anxious, like something would happen, because they start, you know, arresting some activists, preventing, you know, people who works at the university from traveling abroad. You know, things start to be somehow gradually more complicated. So I decided like to go to Qatar and to get like an ID, or what you call here social security ID or something, and to return. And then in case I have to use it, I can use it. But it turns I have to stay, like instead of 10 days, I have to stay almost 4 years in Qatar. Because at this time, like while I was in Qatar, I learned that my brother, he was imprisoned. He was like 21 years old, and he was just arrested from the street, and he was imprisoned, and we don't know like what's going. And also I have another brother who was a professor also, actually in the military academy in Aleppo. They start asking these, you know, people to participate in the violence, and he didn't want that, and he decided just to split from the army, and he went to Turkey, and then in the boat, in these small boats to Greece, and then from Greece walking to Germany. Yeah. So also like you know, a third brother, he was beaten just in the street by the army. He has done nothing, and just he fled to Jordan, and from Jordan he get a visa to Saudi Arabia. So it becomes so complicated for me to come back, and even my family, they don't want me to come back. And then from 2013 to 2016, I was lucky to get a scholarship in Qatar Foundation to study a master in comparative religion. And this is like Qatar Foundation, it's like, I think it's very advanced, you know, center or institution foundation for study. It has even branches from American universities like Texas and Georgetown and Northwestern. And I worked there as translator, as I have already a master in English language teaching, so I was a translator there. However, in 2016, my job contract expired, and I thought by that time things will be fixed in Syria and I will come back, but it doesn't turn to be like that. And then in Qatar, like, or in the Gulf country, you cannot stay unless you have a job contract or like family there, like you cannot stay, or studying. You cannot stay like, and it was for me difficult just to stay. And it happens I have a visa to the US, and there I met also in the faculty a professor. He was American Pakistani. He went to Qatar. He was teaching at the same university, and just he advised me. He just came to Toledo. I'll try to help you. His wife is American and she's a lawyer, and he said like also she will help you in applying for asylum. I said okay. I take the decision, and I came here in August 7, and I submitted my application for asylum, and then and then things happened. Now I don't know how it will turn, whether I will be able to stay here or I have to leave the country and to go somewhere else. We'll see how it will come. And during also this time, 2017, we have my sister and her husband with the 3 kids. They have also to leave Syria because it was dangerous for them to stay, and now they are in Sudan. Still, Sudan is not so much, but it's the country they can travel without a visa, they can enter, and because they don't speak English, so it's easy for them, like they speak Arabic. It's not easy to move your place immediately and to move to a country, and yeah. So now, I want to give you now a map of how Syria is somehow now. If you look about the orange area, you have, this is where the Syrian government is controlling. So you have part of Aleppo, and then Hama, and Homs, and then on the border with the Mediterranean Sea, Latakia and Tartus. And then you have also the main center of Damascus. Because also in the other area, Damascus, it's in the center, it means in the center of Damascus, Homs and Hama and Aleppo, the main centers of the cities, it's controlled by the regime now. However, we have the Syrian opposition, it's on the, if you can see, it's on the border. It's especially on the border with Turkey. Yeah, because most people who fled at the beginning, they went to this area. And we have also a great part in Damascus, especially because the countryside of Damascus is very big. So we have a lot of conflict going on there till now.